My ex-husband called me begging me to give him his old life back. This story begins with my journey as a teen parent. I had my oldest daughter when I was just 16, and my husband was 18. We thought that getting married and starting a family would ensure our daughter grew up with both parents. Looking back, I realize it wasn't the best decision, but at the time, I truly believed we could make it work. We have 3 kids together, 2 sons and a daughter. My ex lived in Boston, while I stayed in San Francisco with the kids. He was busy with college, and I finished high school, but didn't pursue college myself. He wanted me to be a stay-at-home mom, and I agreed, hoping it would keep the peace. During our marriage, I handled most of the housework and managed the kids' school activities. When he was home, he would play with the kids, but there was little time for our marriage. I often felt neglected, trying my best to connect with him, but he was usually too tired to engage. Our biggest challenge was his lack of involvement in parenting. I was the one enforcing discipline, while he would side with the kids, undermining my efforts. It was frustrating, but I loved him, so I stayed. I spent years trying to make things work until 2021, when everything changed. That year, I discovered he had been unfaithful with a coworker. He begged to go to therapy, but I refused. He had never believed in couples therapy until that moment. I was heartbroken and depressed for months. A week after finding out, I filed for divorce. Surprisingly, he agreed, and we had a peaceful separation. No fighting, no threats. After the divorce, we barely spoke. I avoided him, but when I started going out with friends, he began sending me angry messages about my choices. He criticized how I dressed and how I was living my life without him. Then, just a few hours ago, he called me in tears, begging me to come back, to give him his family and his old life. I listened quietly as he expressed how much he missed everything we had. When he finally ran out of words, I hung up and cried for an hour. Now, I'm left wondering what to do next. I know going back isn't fair to our kids or to myself, but I'm unsure how to reject him without upsetting him. I also want to share a bit more about my background. My parents are very religious, and their beliefs have influenced many of my life choices. I'm 31 now and haven't stepped foot in a church since my youngest was baptized. I got pregnant at 15 and had my oldest when I was 16, just after my birthday. I appreciate the advice I've received so far, and I'll provide an update as soon as I can. Really seals in the flavor. This story takes me back to when I was around 19 or 20, working at a resort for the second time. I had taken on various roles there, but this time, I found myself in the dishwashing department. One day, the resort hosted a Hawaiian luau event, complete with a custom-built pig spit roast that could fit 2 pigs. As someone who now appreciates good barbecue, I could appreciate how impressive it looked. But back then, I thought it was just a huge inconvenience and a waste of money. I didn't get to enjoy any of the food, but I did get a front-row seat to the aftermath. During a break with my coworker, a chef rolled up in a golf cart, towing the massive pig cooker. He lit a cigarette and pointed at me, saying, "Clean it." I peered inside and was met with a sight that looked like it had been through a war. This is more than a shift's worth of cleaning, I thought. I don't even know where to start. Well, they'll be here in 3 hours to pick it up, so you better start now, and when they get here, it better shine like new, he replied. How do you even clean something like this? I asked. I don't care, just make it shine. I knew I was being set up for failure, but I decided to give it my all. I figured if I worked hard, I'd be in less trouble than if I didn't try at all. I gathered all the supplies, a brand new floor scrub brush, heavy-duty chemicals, and a garden hose. I sprayed the entire cooker down with 4 cans of the strongest degreaser we had and let it sit. Then I climbed inside and started scrubbing. After an hour, I rinsed it off to check my progress, but there wasn't much change. Determined, I headed to maintenance and grabbed a paint scraper and some scouring pads. I went back to work, alternating between chemicals, scraping, scrubbing, and rinsing. I was on my knees chipping away at the grime when I heard the dock door open. It was one of the office guys, the chef, and another person. The chef said, "He better have it clean for you." I looked up and the chef's evil grin told me I was in trouble. The office guy seemed indifferent, but the stranger's face was a mask of rage. He stormed up and launched into a tirade that I barely registered. My mind went into survival mode. He was furious about how I was cleaning it, proclaiming, "You scrubbed off the flavor," and insisting it was seasoned, a term that meant nothing to me back then. The The chef chimed in, asking, "Why would you do this? Don't you have any common sense?" I finally found my voice and replied, "You said you didn't care how I cleaned it, just to make it shine like new." There was a moment of silence before he started again, threatening that I was done here and HR would be involved, as if losing this job would ruin my life. Then my fellow dishwasher appeared in the doorway, like a knight with a dish towel over his shoulder. "Dude, you literally told him to make it shine like new. I was standing right here. They made me stop cleaning and rinse it off. In the end, we lost our deposit, but I never got in trouble." The chef faced the consequences, and though things didn't improve at the resort, I felt vindicated. I'm still good friends with that other dishwasher to this day. I woke up to a hooded figure standing over me. This story took place in 2017, and it's completely true. I was in a deep depression, made worse by the recent loss of a close friend. To support me, my family flew across the country to visit me in Los Angeles. We decided to take a trip to Catalina Island, hoping for a change of scenery. When we arrived, we quickly realized it was the off-season. Late November brought cold weather, and the island was nearly empty, save for a few locals and a handful of tourists like us. Our first priority was to drop off our luggage so we could explore, so we checked into our motel. I hesitate to call it a motel, as it was more like a collection of quaint guest houses arranged in a horseshoe shape, around a walkway. Our room was at the corner, with one path leading back to the street and the other deeper into the maze of rooms. After a day of exploring, we finished dinner and faced the chilly, dark walk back to our room. Catalina Island is quite a distance from the mainland, and it gets incredibly dark at night. My mood mirrored the darkness as the dinner conversation had taken a turn that deepened my sadness. I pulled my black hoodie tighter around me and walked ahead of my parents, telling them I just needed to sleep. I fell asleep almost immediately, drifting off without saying goodnight. I was jolted awake by my mom whispering my name, her voice laced with concern. The room had 2 beds, my parents' bed closer to the door, and mine further inside. I rolled over, groggy, and asked, "What?" As my eyes adjusted to the dim moonlight filtering through the curtains, I noticed her expression shift to surprise. If I was in my bed, then who was she talking to? We both turned to see a hooded figure in black, standing over their bed. I know this is a let's not meet story, and you're expecting something creepy to happen, but let me tell you, waking up to a hooded stranger looming over you is beyond terrifying. Time felt like it stood still. In movies, characters scream, but sometimes all that escapes is a panicked sound. My mom's voice dropped to a serious tone as she called out my dad's name in a way I had never heard before. Then, the hooded figure did something bizarre. It crouched in the corner where it stood. The way it crouched was so unexpected that it sent chills down my spine. I knew 2 things. This figure had been hovering over us while we slept, and it wasn't acting in any way I could comprehend. In contrast to the endless moment of fear, my dad, a hulking ex-military man, woke up and sprang into action. Suddenly, we were out the door, unsure of which way the intruder had gone. My mom was screaming, "Get him, get him!" My dad ran one way, shouting with adrenaline, "I'm going to get you." I took off down the other path toward the street. When I got there, I found nothing. The silence behind me felt eerie. I rushed back to our room and saw my dad returning, his head low. He leaned in close and said, "It's a kid." It turned out that a young teenager, tall and lanky, had mistakenly entered our room while wearing a black hoodie. My parents had forgotten to lock the door. My mom woke up when he came in, mistaking him for me during a depressive episode. When the hooded figure crouched, he realized his mistake and panicked. He was scared of us. As I returned to the room, my mom stepped out and hugged the kid, who was now crying. I couldn't blame him. I would be terrified too if a massive ex-soldier was chasing me. So, to the now traumatized kid from Catalina Island, I look forward to hearing your version of this story from your perspective. AITHA, for letting my mother-in-law be homeless rather than taking her in. Hi everyone, I'm excited to share my story today. I'm from the Midwest, and I've been a long-time listener of this channel. I really need your thoughts on a situation that's been weighing on me. My husband, whom I'll call Tom, is truly the most wonderful man. He's sweet, kind, and incredibly loyal. I feel so lucky to be his wife. I've always tried to maintain a cordial relationship with my in-laws, but it hasn't been easy. Tom lovingly calls me his little pit bull because I stand up for him, especially when it comes to his family. Tom has a very complicated relationship with his mother and two sisters. Before I came into the picture, he was left to navigate their toxic dynamics alone. His father passed away when he was young, leaving him a significant sum of money that his mother quickly squandered. She guilted him into supporting her, quitting her job and relying on him to pay every bill. Over the years, she has ruined his credit multiple times, putting his name on bills without his consent and failing to pay them. When he tries to stand up for himself, she lashes out, using guilt and even threats to manipulate him. His sisters mirror this behavior, constantly asking him for money and spending it on themselves instead of their children. We've helped them countless times, spending thousands to keep them afloat, but they always come back for more. When we refuse, we're met with hostility and harassment. Currently, they all live in a cramped apartment, and the environment is chaotic. One moment they're fighting, and the next they're acting like best friends. The sisters want to kick their mother out, and last year, we helped her get out of that toxic situation by paying for her to get an apartment. We set her up for success, but she couldn't maintain it, and ended up back with them. Now they're asking us to take her in again. I have to be honest, absolutely not. We're trying to start our own family. And after everything Tom has endured, it's time for his family to face some real consequences. So, Reddit, am I the bad guy for not taking her in? FAFO regarding performance review. I work for an international corporation where our performance is rated annually on a scale from bad to outstanding. The last two ratings come with a yearly bonus, but the monetary difference is minimal. My previous boss and I had an agreement. I would handle my job and cover for him during vacations and meetings, and in return, he would ensure I received a high performance rating. For 4 years, I never missed a deadline and consistently earned that high rating. When my boss left in August, I was assigned to a new manager. I showed him the ropes, and he agreed I should continue my responsibilities. However, in December, he rated me as good, which meant no bonus. I explained that I was fulfilling my role and taking on extra work, but he said he hadn't seen me in action and had higher expectations. So I decided to take action. I canceled every meeting where I was acting as my former boss's replacement and informed HR that I was forfeiting those extra responsibilities. They confirmed that those tasks were not part of my role. The holidays came and went, and my new boss started his week overwhelmed with everything my former boss had left behind. One of the team members I handed tasks to, Jerry, had more of a managerial background. With January being a slow month, not much happened until a regional executive reported a problem with an issue in our area. This was something I would have tackled as my boss's deputy, but it wasn't in my specialty. I entered the war room out of curiosity, and people looked relieved to see me. I asked a few questions and pointed out potential causes, but made it clear I couldn't offer further assistance. After I left, Jerry and the team struggled to find a solution all day. Eventually, they called my old boss at his new company, and it turned out there had been a change in their IT services back in December. Once they addressed it, the problem was resolved, and everyone was happy, except for the reporting executive, who raised concerns about the ongoing issues since the split. Jerry approached me afterward, asking if I could take on the technical tasks again. I told him that since I wasn't being compensated for it, I wouldn't be able to help. The week ended with the reporting executive pushing for internal changes. While he was somewhat important, he wasn't influential enough to change my role or responsibilities. I expect to see requests regarding my old tasks soon, but I'm heading on a short leave. If my new boss asks me to take on those responsibilities, I'll remind him that since he didn't see me as fulfilling his expectations, I had to prioritize my actual role with HR's approval. I was in an accident when I was younger that changed the way I perceive reality. I remember speeding down a steep road on my bicycle when I wiped out, crashing headfirst into the pavement. Everything went dark. When I finally came to, my sister was dragging me to the side of the road, laying me down in a bed of fire ants. The stinging pain from the bites mixed with my terrible concussion made everything feel blurred. Then, suddenly, everything went silent, and I felt an incredible focus. I could hear my sister's voice and feel her touch, but I couldn't see her. For days, I heard many voices and felt the presence of others, but it was as if everything and everyone was one. Eventually, I began to see people again, but my perspective had shifted. Every person I encountered appeared as the most beautiful being I had ever seen. Their unique traits, often sources of insecurity, made them incredible to me. People are so hard on themselves, and it's challenging to show them how truly loved and special they are, even when I express it sincerely. Yet, as amazed as they are that they could be loved just for being themselves, I'm even more astonished by the beauty within them. Some believe the universe is indifferent, but my experience tells me otherwise. The universe is love. We are not separate. We were never separate. The universe is deeply invested in each individual. In its eyes, you are the brightest star, and every other star is drawn to you. I've never shared my view of the world with anyone. Growing up in a strict Christian household, I tried to explain my perspective to my parents and siblings, but they just laughed it off. That's okay. I love and accept them as they are. I wouldn't want to change anything about them. To me, awareness and consciousness exist beyond space and time. We are energy, vibration, and frequency. Insights arise when a mind aligns with the universe's inherent structure. Future possibilities aren't emerging. They are already embedded in the fabric of existence. We are simply navigating our path, perceiving discovery as creation. Nothing is ever lost, nor is anything separate. Love leaves nothing to chance. It transcends all things. Think of the deepest love you've ever felt for another. That love is just a fraction of what you will feel when you fully realize the oneness of all things. There will come a time when you will love those you once despised just as much as those you adore. It may be hard to imagine loving someone you passionately dislike, but I promise you will. Then you will see there was never anything to fear. You'll understand that every choice you made was the right one. You are never being watched for mistakes. You have always been loved for everything you are. Some may think paradise and bliss are the final rewards after a difficult life, but that's not the case. Paradise is merely rest, a shift in the scales heavily tilted in your favor. It is limitation opening up to infinite possibility. Remember, this limited reality has shown you what it means to step into the unlimited. It's not about leaping into possibilities, but stepping in slowly, with awe and gratitude, cherishing every moment. There are dimensions beyond this one, infinite dimensions. Each time you transition from one to another, you experience love that is exponentially greater than before. Many fear they will only fail in this life, but you won't fail. How do I know? Because I know. Why has there been so much suffering? Because you chose to experience the highest highs, and you will. Just when you think you've reached the peak, that's when you will soar even higher. Everything is coming full circle, just not in the way you expect. I hope you like surprises. Your whole world is about to be turned upside down. Update. My mom wants nothing to do with me because I picked my dad in the divorce. Talking to my parents wasn't easy. I confronted my dad about what my sister had told me, and he admitted it was true. Hearing that was tough, especially since he had been there for me after my boyfriend cheated on me just a few months earlier. I also mentioned some things his girlfriend had been saying. He seemed upset and promised to handle it. Things with my mom, however, have been difficult. We used to go to the ballet together every Christmas, but after the divorce, she stopped inviting me. I tried asking a few times, but she always said she couldn't do it. Then, last week, I saw a post of her with Penny and Emma at the ballet. It stung. The next day, Penny asked if I wanted to chip in for my mom's birthday present. I asked if I would be invited to her party, and when she said that shouldn't matter, I told her I wouldn't get a gift for someone who didn't want me there. I had gotten my mom a Christmas present, but I wasn't invited over. I also gave her a wedding present, but I wasn't invited to that either. Penny revealed they didn't want me at the wedding because my mom didn't want me telling my dad anything. That hurt. I called my mom later to ask if it was true. She sounded annoyed and agreed to meet, but insisted I promised to listen. When we talked, she went on about boundaries. She said I'd need to give her 3 days' notice before seeing her, and that I had to invite Emma to everything we did. I was overwhelmed. I asked again about the wedding, and she said she just wanted to enjoy it. I've never gossiped about my parents to each other. It felt like my mom cared more about her ex finding out than having me there. I lost it. I know it wasn't right, but I'd been holding so much in trying to win her love back. It felt pointless. I told her I didn't want to be around anyone who didn't want me there. I explained that I only found out about Dad's affair from Penny, but at this point, I didn't blame him. I told her to have fun with my replacement, but it wouldn't be the same because she wasn't her mom. My friends' moms go out of their way to see them, while I had to beg mine for scraps. I wished I had told her where to shove her boundaries, but I didn't have the energy. Instead, I told her to forget she ever had me and walked away. She called me multiple times, but since I'm 19, I decided to block her number. Penny and her husband have been reaching out too, but I told them my mom needs to respect my boundaries. I think I'll be okay, but it's been tough. I have a therapist who helps sometimes, and I believe cutting my mom out will be good for me in the long run. I don't want to end up like her, and if Penny wants to cut me off for that, so be it. My friends and I are planning to get an apartment this summer, and I think it will be a positive change. My dad was sad when I told him, but I need to start my own life. I know it sounds a bit unfair since he'll be helping with my rent, but we promised to have dinner together at least twice a week. He made a mistake, but I meant what I said about not blaming him. At least he's always been there for me, unlike her. My boyfriend gave my autistic son the best birthday ever. I'm a 25-year-old single mom to my son, Lewis, who just celebrated his 6th birthday. Lewis is on the autism spectrum. While he's high-functioning, he still faces challenges daily. He has sensory issues and can get overwhelmed in crowded places, but he's been making great progress as he grows older. Now, let me tell you about my boyfriend Jordan. He's a heavy machinery mechanic who runs his own business from home, focusing on farming equipment and sometimes helping out construction companies. He lives on a large piece of land in the countryside, where he keeps chickens, ducks, goats, and cows. I honestly don't know how he manages everything, but he's incredible. Lewis took an instant liking to Jordan, and the feeling was mutual. Lewis loves visiting the farm and riding around in Jordan's UTV. He's fascinated by building with Legos and working with his hands, so he often follows Jordan into the garage to learn about cars and engines. Jordan has been a blessing for Lewis, always being careful and even buying gloves for him to avoid sensory overload from grease. Last month, Jordan told me he wanted to give Lewis the best birthday ever. I thought he'd get him a small gift, maybe a cheap Lego set or a toy tractor. But when he walked us to the garage and opened the door, I was speechless. He had gone all out, getting Lewis 10 Lego sets and even building him a go-kart. I couldn't believe it. He spent over $1,000 on my son. I dropped to the floor, overwhelmed with emotion. I never expected anyone to care so much for a child they didn't have to do anything for. Lewis was ecstatic. He shouted, "Is that a go-kart? Can I ride in it with you, Jordan? Wait, are those Lego sets? You got me the Titanic set? I've wanted that forever." The joy on his face was priceless. Jordan was just as thrilled to see Lewis so happy. He told Lewis that the go-kart was his, and that he could drive it as long as one of us sat with him until he got the hang of it. I know I rambled a bit, but I'm so grateful to everyone who took the time to read this. I think I might just buy this amazing man a ring. After Lewis's birthday, we sat down to make a thank you card. I encouraged Lewis to write everything himself, making it personal and creative. He spent days decorating a giant trifold poster board, gluing pictures of him and Jordan together, alongside his drawings and writing. I added my own note, expressing my gratitude to Jordan for all the gifts, dinners, movie nights, and for seeing Lewis for who he is. I told him how much Lewis loves him and how grateful I am for everything he's done. When we finally finished the card, we jumped in the car for a surprise visit to Jordan, who was having dinner with his parents, whom we adore. We had warned them we'd be popping in, so there were no surprises. As we tried to sneak in the giant poster board, Jordan caught us at the door. He greeted us with hugs and a kiss before we settled down to watch him open his comically large letter. As he read it, tears welled up in his eyes, and he quietly said, "I love you guys too," before excusing himself to grab a tissue. We spent the night playing games, building Legos, and just enjoying each other's company. Now for the big news. We're moving in with Jordan. My lease is up for renewal in February, and he wrapped a box with a house key to ask me to move in. I was so excited, I ran over and jumped into his arms. He even gave Lewis his own key for his bedroom, after checking with me first. Lewis is a bit nervous, but excited. We spend so much time together already, and I believe this is a step toward building a healthy future. We wanted to ensure we could live together without issues before making any big decisions. Now it's time to pack and donate some of my old things to make room for new ones. I'm incredibly grateful for everything I have, and for everyone who has read this. I love each and every one of you, and wish you all the best.